So today we are delighted to welcome Charlotte from Charlotte Conway Design. Charlotte's an interior designer whose core business is creating beautifully designed homes for clients to live in and enjoy long term. Alongside her interior design studio, Charlotte also offers a specialist home styling and staging service, working closely with homeowners, estate agents like Aston Knowles, to prepare properties for sale. This side of her work draws on the same design principles she uses for her full interior projects. Charlotte's approach goes far beyond decluttering and cushions. In this episode, we'll be exploring how strategic home styling can maximise the value of your home, why first impressions matter more than ever, and how small design changes can make a significant impact on price and speed of sale. Charlotte, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
This is your first ever podcast?
Yes, it is my first one. Yeah.
Excellent. So exciting and nervous?
A little bit nervous, yeah.
Nothing to be nervous about. We are just having a chat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Should we crack on? Should we go
let's
straight in with the first question?
Yeah.
So for sellers that might be new to this concept, what does home styling really involve and how is it different from interior design?
Okay, so with interior design, with the service that we offer to our residential clients who want a turnkey solution, we get to know the client on an individual basis and learn their lifestyles, so we can truly make that home bespoke to them. With home styling for going to market, we have to consider everybody, and so we want to make sure that we're not just focusing on one the person who's living there currently, and what their style is. So we will kind of like obviously have a little tour around the house, speak to say the agent from Aston Knowles, and find out who the likely buyer is going to be, and then really try and like consider how we dress the house to suit the lifestyle of viewers that are coming in. So we're not just focusing on the people who are living there at that moment in time. We've got to think about how we appeal to creating a dream for the new viewers coming in, and like giving them the vision of what their lifestyle could be in that home.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. So how does a designer, for being a designer first, sort of influence that approach, your approach for home styling? Okay,
so when our clients come to us, say for that turnkey approach, we get to know quite a lot about we have to learn and spend a lot of time with that client. Generally, they can like be a year project, 2-year project, and we really get to know that family, and we learn about their lifestyle, and we kind of learn what they're into at whatever age they are, or what culture they're from, and then I think that experience really helps us then consider when looking at properties going to market that we're considering all aspects. So the particular family in that home at the time, it might be a family, but it might be that home appeals to another person, another family.
Yeah, that's it.
And then it's considering not just thinking, let's say it's a family home. We're not just thinking, okay, playrooms and
kids'
like
bedrooms,
kids. That's it. It's thinking about. Does there need to be like an office setup? If there's not an office setup there, how do we like create that in the home? So it's kind of using
line points.
We
when I'm looking at a house and I'm thinking about who the buyer might be, often if it's a multi-generational family, they might use all the bedrooms, whereas if it's going to come to market, I might brief Charlotte that we need a bit of entertainment space or some leisure here that we haven't got at the moment. So how can we repurpose some of the existing rooms as, flexible space to use as something else?
So it's really understanding the audience. So that's where it works, the sort of two bits of experience tying in together. Because Sophie, obviously, you know what people are looking for, and from a design point of view, you know what works. And that's why that relationship.
That's it. And I think with our clients, so let's just say what we were doing, just say the interior design service. When you've got the multi-generational families, you get to speak to different members of the family to get that home how they want it. So then we consider those things when dressing a home. It's saying like some people might want 2 lounges.
Right.
So yeah, it's
But showing the options.
Showing
Showing these options. So obviously the two of you work together in getting the best value for a property. But Sophie, how important is that first impression? So obviously you've got an online first impression and then that in-person first impression. So when it comes to achieving that best price and generating that momentum really early on, what do you think, how important is that?
It's the most important part of the property sale is the first impression, whether that be online or at a viewing. So the photographs obviously are going to portray online what people are going to see in the home. So having the house styled, ready for photographs is key. And you can often find, unfortunately, that people can set their home up for photos, but then when you go on a viewing, it might not look as perfect as it did. Families are living there. So part of the styling process is to also make it functional so that they can still live in the house, but for viewings, they quickly know how that house has got to look and get it ready again for viewings. And then the first impression, obviously, on a viewing is, they walk into the hall and it's got to start there and then it evolves from there.
Right, okay. So are there certain key changes? Are there sort of like almost like a bit of a guidebook, like a bit of a textbook thing? You walk in and there are things that you do straight away. Are those certain styling changes that help will sell that house quicker? Those quick wins.
Yeah.
Those quick
wins. Yeah. I mean, Charlotte can talk about this better than I can, but I think when you walk into a hall, that is the starting point. Right, okay. So, there's got to be something there when you walk through the door that's really going to... People will often say that they know as soon as they walk into a property that they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
And so having that feeling must come from somewhere. So it's...
And I suppose it is that sort of element of, coats, bags, shoes, that kind of clutter. I mean, I've been through it quite recently where you sort of walk in and then you hit that barrage of stuff in the hall and you think, oh, there's nowhere to put anything. So I suppose that's a quick fix.
I completely agree. I think for us, that first impression when you walk through that front door, we want people to walk in and feel like almost at home, even if it's not their home, and feel welcomed. They don't necessarily want to see clutter on the floor, too many personal items, that they feel a bit on edge that they're not meant to be there. So they walking in and seeing like a place for everything, and then also I guess a focal point, like a little bit of something that can like grab you. Or like invite you into like other areas as you walk in. Yeah, and I think smell, like that's such a big thing. So and like the lovely big diffusers, they're actually like a really nice focal point. But actually, it's so important to walk in and for it to smell clean and fresh. And
that's quite interesting, actually. Is that part of the process? The smell? Do you have to get to know somebody to know what smell they're going to like?
Do you know what? I have to say, we haven't necessarily done it like that, where we've got to know, when we've dressed clients' homes, whether it be for the full interior design service or whether it be for styling to sell, we kind of pick things that aren't, with fragrances that are quite subtle, and
fresh.
Yeah, that's it. Not too strong and empowering that it might be something that someone else would dislike. So like in a kitchen, quite often we'll pick maybe like mint and something quite spring-like, so it feels quite fresh. And to be honest, that can sometimes work quite often like through the home. But I think walking in, that is something that in all styling that we do, we try to make sure we bring in, because that can, like, if you've done the cooking the night before and you've done something quite strong, then having that nice fresh smell for somebody walking in.
And that's candles as well as diffusers. One of the important things to do when you're preparing your house for sale. It's not just a gimmick to light candles and have nice smells. It is part of
the whole make a loaf of bread, make some cakes. Is that put the coffee on, the fresh coffee? I remember actually doing that, and my husband thinking it was hilarious that I was brewing fresh coffee. I don't think I ever use a coffee machine besides that, really. But it is a balance, isn't it? I think from what you've said. So how do you really strike that balance for a home to feel neutral enough so you're appealing to a wide audience, but then making it feel homely and someone can envisage themselves living there. So what are those sort of key things that people
I
can
think, like for us, I'd say decluttering,
Okay.
taking out as much as you possibly can without making it look bare. So again, like we're saying about finding a place for everything, but then you also want it to look lived in. You don't want it to feel sterile and
like a show
uninviting.
home that's not realistic for a family to.
That's it. But I think, so taking out, I think sometimes it's quite nice to have family photos there because it just it makes it feel real.
Yes.
But not too many. So I think it's getting that balance.
stripping that back?
Yeah.
And I suppose being an external pair of eyes, both of you really, I suppose you both give that sort of confidence to the client that it's okay to take away. I think when you're very close to your home, that must be quite difficult. How do you do this without offending people by going, get rid of that?
I think it is hard, and you can offend people, and that can happen. You know, if I'm going to introduce Charlotte as her styling service, I am going to brief them that, you know, there are going to be some changes, and if you want to get best price and you want your house to sell quickly, you've got to trust the process.
Right, okay.
And I think if you set that up from day one, then okay, we understand, and I think that helps.
Yeah, and I think it's also when you're doing it and you're going into people's homes, it's explaining to them like my home is exactly the same. It's not organised. You might think it all looks perfect with the job that we do, but I've got a family. It's normal to be have things out of place and to have your family photos. It's nice, but when you're trying to attract new buyers and get the best,
It's your shop window, isn't it? I suppose
that's it. It's not personal.
No.
It's just kind of reassuring like your client that basically it's not personal, but to take a few, you're not getting rid of them. They're just going to go into a cupboard or into a box for now. They can come back out again.
Please don't get them out. So at what point do you, thinking about the process and the people that might be listening, because obviously people are going to listen to this if they're selling their home, maybe they're struggling to sell their home, maybe they are thinking about it and wanting that best value, so they might go for a stylist from the get-go. But at what point, Sophie, would you say to the client, do you have a look and then decide, or is it the client that sort of suggests this? How does it come
It
about?
can work both ways. So on some super high value properties, let's say the over 2 million market, I think it can be client led. Okay. So a lot of the time they will say, what do we need to do? And do you have an interior designer that can help us? So that's a really easy win because I can introduce Charlotte. She might have worked with them before, or I can say that, you know, give them an example of a home that's been styled. But for the, let's say, you know, for the everyday house, the normal, you know, the normal house that's on the market from 500 to 2 million, it can often be a case of people will always say to me, you know, does it look okay? Is there anything I need to do? And people are genuine. They do want to know, you know, what can they do? So that's a real easy win where we can say, well, you could do this, that and the other, decluttering being one of the main things that we tell people to do. And then at that point, we can also introduce a stylist service. Okay. So upon point of valuation, they'll either ask me for it or I can introduce Charlotte. Right. On houses that haven't sold, let's say there's a house been on the market for a while and it might have been something in the back of my mind that, why hasn't this house sold? And I think to myself, well, actually, you know, it just needs a lift. So I will very politely try and encourage the client that, would you consider a stylist coming in to repurpose maybe some of the rooms or just rearrange the furniture and bring in some soft furnishings just to help? We can have some new photographs done and maybe that's all that we need to do. Right. And I'm not saying in the last 12 months because it has been a tough market, but first of all, with it being a tough market, even more reason why you should invest in a stylist. Yes. Yeah. But perhaps in a better market, when we've had a house stylist around, let's say we've taken the property off the market because we're going to go through this process, it hasn't sold, so we bring Charlotte in, we have it restyled, it could go back on the market at a higher price. So that investment that you're putting into paying for the stylist to
actually pays off.
Yeah, so adds value.
And I suppose that's the key, isn't it? You know, this is not just an expenditure out of your sale price. This can actually return more than you're investing in the styling. But what about empty homes? Do you obviously we have to sell homes that are they've been developed and.
I mean, if you go and look at a new home site, they will always have a show home, and they do that on purpose because a house that's styled.
Yes.
Cleverly.
It's the one I want.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
yeah,
and so particularly when you've got a big house that's empty, it needs something.
Okay.
And so it's very hard because it's almost all or nothing. You can't just go and put a few pieces in. You've got to do the lot. But that's where, like, Charlotte has a house staging service where you can rent the furniture.
See, so people would come to you, you would mock it up, and then they would rent that off you.
Yeah, that's it. Or sometimes it might be that we can put a package together where if they want, they could buy it outright, or it might be that the buyer, when they come in, there's a package there ready. We'll do a spreadsheet of everything that's gone in. There's a cost allocated to everything.
Oh, see, that's clever, isn't it? I like that.
Yeah, it's flexible, really. It can, we do it so it can work for everybody, or you can pick and choose. It's
right, so it's really bespoke.
Yeah,
it's not like set.
No, it's really hard to do. Like, it's very difficult to say it's going to cost this much, because I think every home, whether it be an empty one or whether it be a home that's already got furniture in, every home is so different. So really, you have to go in, like do a walk around the property first, and then
assess.
That's it.
So actually that leads quite nicely on to the next question, because when Sophie's spoken to the client and said, right, this is probably a good idea, or they've said we'd really like the home staged for sale, we want to achieve maximum value, Charlotte comes in. So what does that, I mean, obviously, I don't want you to go through the whole thing, but what does that process look like for the clients? How does that feel for the client?
We'd initially meet them. We would go around, do a walk around the house. Okay. We'd get them to show us around first, sort of like talk us through. Then we say, do you mind if we can have a little wander around on our own? So then I can then go around and
really judge it.
That's it. Yeah, without like just kind of like having a proper look around. And then from that point, it's quite. I don't give too much away at the beginning. It's more about, because I have to digest it. I'll do like photos and
photos.
That's it, and videos. Just on an iPhone. It's just very. And then I'll take it. I'll make my little notes, and then I'll go away. Generally, a week, 2 weeks later, digest it, and then kind of put a bit of a proposal together. And then sort of suggest what I think would work for the home. And then if it's a case where the house has got has got everything, like furniture wise, then it might just be a little bit of like reorganising. Then
that's
we can,
so you can actually take what people have already got.
It doesn't have to be.
So it could be restyling. Because in my mind, I think, when someone comes in from an interior design point of view, they think, my worry would be, oh my goodness, you're going to come in and sort of sell me a £2,000 couch, and then it can be that you're reorganising what I've got. That's
it. Some homes, like, they might actually have furniture. I think, actually, do you know what, that would actually work better in that room. And then but then we've got teams that will come in and we'll do all of that. So so from doing the walk arounds, putting a proposal together to the client, sometimes it might be like a room by room one, sometimes we might just pick key rooms, and we'll sort of give the client a bit of an idea of, I suppose, different budgets really that they could go to depending on what the house is like. And then from that point, the client can tell us what they want to do. And then it's things like, let's just say we are moving furniture around and we're moving furniture in. We do have we have an install team. So like for heavier furniture, we'll have like a couple of men come in generally, and they'll help us move.
Strong women,
of course. Obviously, we can have strong women as well. However, my team, we prefer to do the dressing, and then we get the fun bit. That's it. So, the guys will come in and then they'll move the furniture around. They'll help with the unpackaging, getting the packaging out of the house. Whilst they're doing that, I've got a team as well, where we will start dressing, putting things in place, moving things around a little bit. It can take, depending on the house size and again, like what the property's like. It can be a day, it can be 3 days, really depending on the scale. And then it might be that when we're looking, some clients just don't have time. They've got a busy family, or they're busy with work. They might want us to bring in like a cleaning team and do like a deep clean.
Oh, okay. So it really is 360.
Really important part. You can do all this lovely house styling, but
Yeah.
you know, the sparkle clean is the cherry on the cake, really.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I think it's not like everyone, obviously most people do have like clean houses, but it just gives it that extra edge. And that, again, it's their everyday home. They haven't necessarily got time to have everything perfect all the time, and that's what we're there for, is to try and take some of that pressure away and get it perfect for the photos.
I've got a funny story of a chappie that I went to see, and I tried to sell to him the house styling service on day one because he lives on his own. He was a bachelor, so
it was obvious that he needed it.
And I walked around and I very subtly said, you know, it needs a woman's touch. Am I allowed to say that? You know, it did. It really, it needed some softness, and it needed some pieces, and it all needed to be brought together because it was a beautiful house. But yeah, he'd been living there with a lodger as well, so another guy. Anyway, he said, okay, I'll have a think about it. And I went back a couple of months later, and he was so proud. He was like, I've done what you said to do. No, you need a professional. I'm sure some people have got the eye for it and enjoy doing styling.
Come on, tell us what you've done.
Oh, you know, he's been to B&M and had a B&M haul, and he moved a few pieces round and put a few plants here and there. But it is a professional service.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure people can do it themselves if they've, you know, you can get inspiration from show homes and things like that, but there is an art to it. I can't do it.
And it's time.
Yeah, I can walk around a house and know that it's not quite right, but it's got the fundamentals.
Yes.
But I can't say to them, right, go buy this, that and the other, or think about these colours, or you need light here. I just haven't got that vision.
Yeah.
That's where you hand it over to the person with the experience, that, you know, Charlotte, who that's what she does.
So have you got some direct examples of, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but have you got some really good examples of where you've done this process and then you have had a much better offer, or the value, we've had more viewings and it's really changed the sale?
So we had a really high value house that was empty because it was a new build, or it wasn't a new build, but it had been
sort of redeveloped.
Yeah, redeveloped. And it was beautiful, but there was loads of reception rooms. It was sort of room after room.
Right.
And I'm walking around thinking, oh, what should we describe this room as? And actually Charlotte had already, I think from thinking back now, prepared a CGI or a mood board for each room. So originally what we tried was just having the mood board in the room.
Oh, okay.
So when people came into the house,
interesting. So they could sort of visualise. That takes a lot of
but it didn't work.
Imagination.
You know, as nice as it was, you know, the difference. So then we went back to the client and said, could we ask Charlotte to put a furniture package together for you? And that's what Charlotte did. And it would just transform the house.
Amazing.
And it went from being a really lovely house to elevating it to another level.
So did that change the price you actually put it for sale at?
I think it did,
or did it just change the offers that came in?
No, I think it definitely elevated the value. I mean, it was a super high value house, so you're talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of difference just by having the house furnished. So yeah, I mean, over to you, Charlotte, on that one.
Yeah, I think that particular property was, you had to create a lifestyle for people who are going to spend that sort of money to picture themselves in there. So yeah, I think. And
actually, thinking back, the client had already spent a lot. They'd gone over budget on the bill.
So it was a big investment.
It was a big investment.
Gamble for them.
It was a gamble, and they didn't. You know, Charlotte could have done so much more, but actually we cherry picked about 5 rooms. So we did the master bedroom suite upstairs and the dressing room, and then downstairs we did the kitchen and the main rooms, and the entertainment room, you managed to get a bespoke pool table in there.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And was that a hired?
It was. You know what? Sometimes, because of this is where having the interior design side of our business can benefit. Sometimes we can actually loan furniture from our suppliers, so like bespoke pieces, if they're going to a trade show and they're launching a new product. So this particular project, we didn't need to charge the client for hiring it at all, because we were loaned this beautiful bespoke pool table, and it meant we had this lovely piece in the room.
I suppose it's being showcased as well. So that piece then is obviously on offer for the potential viewers to buy. So it's good for the furniture.
Well, that's it. That piece was actually just sat in their warehouse doing nothing. So they got like photography and coverage from it.
Yeah.
It kept it safe in a heated, dry property.
Okay.
And then when they were ready for it, a few months later, they took it to the trade show, and that was it.
So we've already talked about some of the mistakes that people make with storage, clutter. But come on, what are some of the like real faux pas that people have made, or you've seen things and thought, oh, yeah, biggest mistakes people make?
Shall I go?
Yeah, you go.
So I would say, I think, well, one is if they clean, like the house needs to be clean.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
So bathrooms and kitchens, for me, they need to be spotless. And even if like the bathroom is a little bit tired, there's grout cleaners out there.
Right. Okay.
There's just little things like that can make such a difference. And that's forget styling, like investing money into that. That's just actually like really
the basics.
That's it. And I think without that clean palette to start with, so yeah, sometimes you can walk in and you just think, okay, well, we've got a fair bit to do here. It's rare.
But I suppose at the stage they're talking to you, you've got a bit of an open dialogue there because they've brought you into style, so you can say, right, that needs to be done, that needs to be done. From your point of view, Sophie, if someone brings you in and goes, well, my house is lovely, you've probably got to have some difficult conversations. So how do you even broach that?
You just have to be brave and be honest. And, you know, some people might not like to hear it, but ultimately when they sleep on it, they will come back afterwards and say, you know, I take your point. Some people don't, and that's fine. You know, if that's how they feel, then that's absolutely fine. But I'd rather always be honest than tell somebody just to get the job that your house is lovely, there's nothing you need to do, and just get it on the market. I just don't see the point in doing that.
I think as well, sometimes some people might be so proud of something that they've done, and you don't want to offend people, but I think it's just reminding them that there's things, again, taking it back to yourself, there's things in my home that I know that not everybody will love. I've got artwork in my home that would be like the complete opposite taste to some people. So it's just kind of, if they want to sell their home and they want to get the best price, then they just need to think logically. It's not personal. So I think sometimes you can go into a home and they're very excited to show you something, but actually
that's not
just like take a step back.
Right. Okay.
Let's think about what everybody likes, and it might not be what everybody chooses.
I've got several examples of not faux pas, but I've definitely had experiences where I've gone to look at somebody's house and it's either been a show home once upon a time, or they'll show me a room which they absolutely love because they had an interior designer in maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Gosh, okay.
But what was fashionable then is definitely not what's
We're talking like shag pile carpets and things like that.
It's more when
back in now,
they are actually. It's when the bling was in.
The
black, the browns and the cream, and then the blings
and
with
the
the black
sparkle
and the sparkly wallpaper.
Wow.
Which, you know, perhaps in certain rooms,
Some people might like
around the room for sparkly wallpaper.
Do you know what?
My daughter would love that.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I suppose, some girls' rooms probably still a little bit, but it was definitely it was a real big thing
10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. So what are the current trends at the moment that really help sort of market the property? Because I suppose we do go through these sort of, like we've just said, flock wallpaper, crystal, silver. So what at the moment do you think we should be incorporating to make our houses look modern?
Okay, so with the trends thing, I'm a little bit, I don't like to follow trends too much because I kind of think, again, you're following a niche, and then you're stuck on that path.
Right.
And I think sometimes when you're looking at homes to buy, it isn't a house, it's a home. You're buying a home to live in and feel comfortable in. So a trend that might be massive now, grey was a big thing. Maybe again, I don't
ever see you using grey.
I never use grey. I don't know why, because I'm so sick of seeing it, and I think, and that doesn't mean, again, it's not the right thing to do. Everybody again has different tastes, but I think a neutral palette is really important.
Yeah.
Bringing in layers. Yeah, if there's a trend, a colouring trend, maybe just bring it on some cushions.
Yeah.
Which is easily changeable then. So you're future proofing a little bit the design. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then if someone doesn't like the colour orange, like burnt
It's
orange,
not a big deal.
like it's not offensive to them when they walk into a home. It's just on some cushions.
So it's not a feature wall that's got to be I see.
Yeah, and like,
or a bright red kitchen.
yeah, that's it. And then if someone has got a bright red kitchen and we don't want to be like ripping the kitchen out just to sell a home, we can just consider paring back what's around it. So it might be if something was really, really heavy and I really felt that it would help, with the marketing of the property, it might be that we might say, do you know what, actually, why don't we get a decorator in? Let's just paint this, like the room of this room out in a neutral, just to calm it down a little bit. If it was a little bit very personalised. So trend wise, I think there's always going to be certain trends that you can bring in, but I think it's really important not to focus solely on a trend.
On the fashion of this, that
That's
sort of
it.
thing. What about you, Sophie, in terms of what people are looking for? I mean, we've talked about, I think we mentioned it on the last podcast, people looking at outdoor space, man caves, those kind of, what are people looking for these days?
I think the open plan kitchen is still the number one room that people want, and it's all about having like zones within that room, and how you separate those zones, because if the kitchen's too small, you might not be able to have a lounge dining kitchen, but it's organising that space so it works. I think home offices have obviously become important these days, so whether that's in an outdoor building or in like a garden room, or whether it's inside. I went into a house actually this week thinking about it, and both husband and wife work from home. They've had their house on the market. I was second agent in, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying if she listened to this, but they were a family of four. They're moving because they need a bigger house. They both work from home. So both the master bedroom and the second bedroom had got their work desks in there.
Oh, right.
And then they'd gone down the route, I don't know, 5 years ago when they moved in, of not having fitted wardrobes. So instead they got like freestanding rails, which had got all of their clothes on in every room. And I just said, I feel like I'm walking round and there's just stuff everywhere. So where can we put that office? We need to take it out of the master bedroom and put it somewhere else, so that you get your bedroom back. And then, it needs to be dressed as a bedroom. Wow. And then I would consider buying a wardrobe, because if you move in, hopefully you can take the wardrobe with you. But let's get all the clothes in a wardrobe. And then for viewings as well, you've got the space to put all the toys away. Because I do get that when people are having, living in their house and having it on the market, it's really stressful. Some clients get really fed up of the viewings, and they want you to, can you make sure that all of the viewings are done on the same day?
So we just have to clean once.
Yeah.
I wish we could do that.
Oh,
but it's just making it easy for them. So storage solutions, I think, is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
What's your take on storage?
Yeah, I think, do you know what? It doesn't even have to be like expensive storage solutions. You can literally IKEA. You can sometimes.
That's still IKEA. Still
honestly,
a good option,
you can really dress it up if needed. But storage, I think, and ease of like being able to put stuff away, like you were just saying, like when you've got a viewing, it needs to be practical that you can actually hide all the toys in the cupboard or the desk, like your office,
you can
tidy
make that
it all away.
Quite quickly.
That's it. So I think I think for when it on the storage side of things, this is how I would be. Whether I kind of say to clients, if you're walking into a home where you're considering buying, you're going to be thinking about the practical solutions. So if you walk in and then you see things everywhere, you're going to be thinking, oh no, there's no cloakroom, there's no
how am I going to live?
That's it. Where would we put all the kids' toys? Like where would my office be? So you have to almost do that thinking for them first, for the potential buyer.
So they're not bringing up negatives.
That's it.
So that their go-to is, this is so nice and tidy, and then they're starting to envision themselves living there rather than problems.
Yeah, but also like even though it might look all tidy, then it can sometimes have the opposite effect where people can think, well, where's all the stuff? Where's all my stuff going
so it is that balance.
That's what I would think. Like, I love looking at, beautifully dressed houses.
Yeah.
I just look around thinking, where's all the stuff?
That's it. Like, where where are like my 10 pairs of shoes going to go? Or so it's if there isn't a storage solution there, it's kind of ticking that box before the client comes in, and then kind of like they have a tick list and a no list. It's trying to minimise that the no list or.
Because I suppose the worst thing is that people assume these things, or they think them and they don't tell you. Because if they say to you, and I'm really worried actually, where on earth would I have my office? And then you, especially from an agent's point of view, you would then say, well, actually, the third bedroom, you've only got this, so you're trying to help them envisage. But the worst case scenario, I suppose, is someone where they don't share that negative thought, or they don't tell you, so you can't put
That's
it right.
why, I mean, at Aston Knowles, we do all of our viewings, and we do that on purpose because we want to draw that feedback out of people. So if we get the vibe that it's not for them, then we'll chase that feedback. Why not? You know, so that we can go back to the client with something. And often it can be off the back of those difficult conversations that we say, should we think about having a stylist come out and dress the home?
Right. So those really thought-provoking questions with the potential buyers are really key to moving that sale along.
And that's the biggest thing that holds people back from having maybe an interior designer or a stylist round. But actually it can be a really cost-effective option.
Is on that point then, is there sort of a budget where where people start? I know it's quite hard to talk about.
Yeah, no, there is. I think, again, every home is different, and it will be structured to that property. But I think, and it also depends on the size and the value of the house, but looking at sort of like your £1 million plus properties, realistically, like a startup, you're looking at about 3,000. But for that 3,000, you would get a full like room by room breakdown. We'd put a full, almost as if you were like kitting out your whole house.
Wow.
You'd have like a full like presentation of images for things that we're suggesting that are missing or that could enhance, and then like a bit of an itemised breakdown on what we'd remove out of there and why and what we'd put back in. So it's almost like a picture booklet of what each room requires. It might not be that every room needs it. And then we'd also then create a spreadsheet, and then that spreadsheet would have all the itemised costs. So then you've got the option of whether you want to buy like everything, if you think you might want to move that stuff onto a new property.
Yeah.
And then we've also got that spreadsheet of a rental. So then there'd be a figure, and that can range, rental-wise, that can range from anything from sort of £2,500 a month upwards. But again, it really does depend on the value of the property.
Of course, yeah. So what about a little bit low? So if we're looking at houses at 500, 600,000 up to that $1 million, what would I expect to spend?
It might be the 3,000. You might not necessarily need that full package to start with, because the property's smaller, so you wouldn't necessarily need as much styling. So sometimes things. A property like that, it might be more on a time, and we might like sort of consider our time on what's required. So it might be like, say, it's like £350 approximately a day. We'd work out how much studio time is needed, how much consultation time is needed, and we'd almost maybe work it out on like a bit of a day rate, but then advise how many days we think it would take to kind of pull it all together.
So it could be a bit of a shopping list for somebody.
Yeah, shopping list, or us putting together a proposal of what they need to do themselves with their own home. So maybe like the smaller value properties, it might be that the home has got
everything
what they need,
right, it's those adjustments. So it's almost like a bit of a plan for them to work through, and it's like, right, okay, these are I need to deep clean the kitchen, get the grout sorted, I need to move that couch out of that room, actually I need to stage that as an office, right, and they can kind of work through that and then touch base with you if they want that support.
Yeah, and then we can almost, like, it might be, say some clients want to try that first.
Yeah.
And then, but that generally I think works probably more so for sort of, the 500,000 to $1 million properties.
And it could maybe just be that it's just some soft furnishings to bring it all together. So if they go through Charlotte's list and they've ticked all the boxes for what they need to do, then coming together at the end, Charlotte might revisit or offer her services to say, well, we can now piece together some nice soft furnishings and diffusers and the things that are going to give the added touch.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you now. This is a really difficult question, because it sounds like there's a lot to do, and obviously it needs a professional touch. But if there's one thing that you would want somebody to do? I suppose actually let's ask Sophie this first, because I think if you're selling your property, what's the one thing in terms of design, interior, home staging? What's the one thing you'd really love someone to take away from this and do if they're coming to you to sell their home?
I think Charlotte will probably say the same. So the two things are having a really clean house and decluttering.
Okay.
So you can do that. I would say to people, you can do that anyway. You know, you can go around and anything that you haven't used in 12 months, put it in a box and put it out the way.
Right.
You know, if you've got a loft, if you've got a garage, you know, if somebody's going to look in your garage and it's full of boxes, it doesn't matter. You know, it's your garage, that's where for storage. Yeah. So lots of things can go away. So clean house and decluttering. But I think from an interiors point of view, and you know, it's definitely not for me, but I think making sure that every room has a purpose, a correct purpose. So I can think of an example where maybe somebody's children have grown up and fled the nest, and the old playroom is just become a bit of a dumping ground, really. So what could we repurpose that room as? Could it be a cinema room? Could it be a library? Even in a £500,000 house, you know, like a library.
I like that.
Or a reading room, or a snug, or something that
sort of quiet room, mindful. That's very trendy, isn't it? To have like a reflection room.
Yeah, and I can think of another example where we've got a house on the market that's beautiful, but it's only got 3 bedrooms, but it's quite heavily priced for a 3-bedroom house. But they do have an extra reception room. So I asked the vendor to go away and think about repurposing a room downstairs as a bedroom. Ooh. But in order to call a downstairs room a bedroom, you do have to have a shower room on the ground floor as well for it to actually be able to be listed as a 4th bedroom. Okay. So where then can we introduce a shower room? Can we even do that? It might be no, we can't, and therefore, you know, it is what it is.
To list from a 3-bed to a 4-bed is massive, right?
Yeah, it's going to make a massive difference, because then when we go back onto Rightmove as a 4-bed, we're going to attract a different market, and hopefully then we'll get the price that we're looking for. So that, like, purposeful rooms, a very clean house, and decluttering.
She's taken all the good ones.
I know.
Yeah. You've answered it all. I've taken all that. Yeah. So if you had to pick one of those things, what would you love?
Oh, well, it's 2 again. So
okay.
Clean and declutter.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
and
that's the key.
So from an interiors point of view, imagine you've got a clean house and it's been decluttered. Is there one, you know, nugget that you think it would be a?
I think it's zoning areas, and again, it comes back to rooms having a purpose. Okay. I think it's you could have a blank canvas with bits of furniture in, and all look very tidy, but then it can be soulless. Yeah. So I think it's considering layers, textures, zoning.
And this is where this professional eye, and I'm just thinking now about sort of, you know, even my mum's house. You know, if I told my mum how to declutter, she would definitely not agree with me. Yeah. But then if it came from an external party, you know, there's things that I would take out of my parents' property to say this needs to go. But actually that just wouldn't work. It would need a professional voice to say this is really what the buyer are looking for.
And I say we're not trying to strip the soul out of the property, are we? It's about still, you want people to walk in and feel at home, like you want it to be their home.
Cozy.
So it's one of the things that I know that I see with when you've been and styled a house is you know, the use of rugs, for example, which like a rug in my mind, I probably wouldn't think, oh, this room needs a rug. It just wouldn't come to me. Whereas I'll come back and Charlotte's been, I think, oh wow, that rug has completely transformed the room. Yeah. You know, like under a dining table in a kitchen or in a lounge.
Do you know what that is for me? When I walk into a house and if everything's hard on the floor, again, you can have a really well like furnished and styled home, but if the floor's like completely clear, again, it feels sterile.
Right.
So it's
adding that warmth.
That's going back to the layers and the textures, and a rug can make an open plan kitchen again go from being quite a cold,
fast space.
To okay, here's your bit of a softer breakout, like calm family area, and then this is your mop the floor, keep everything clean and practical area, but it all flows nicely together.
So it really is that zoning, decluttering, cleaning. Those are the really sort of
And how can you add, so like let's take bedrooms for example, which I think for people, again, whose children have fled the nest. So then they'll just have a bed in there. You know, how do you layer a room, like a bedroom?
I think you want to dress a room. So it's making the bed up, not just having a bed and a mattress in there. Because I have seen that before when we've been to properties that we've looked at with you guys. And sometimes, someone might walk in and be like, okay, well, this is a bedroom. But it just can feel a bit drab. So I think just literally, even if you just get some cheap pillows, it doesn't have to be like the best quality, but just having a nicely fresh pressed duvet cover, cushions, a couple of scatter.
We have to iron your duvet.
Yeah,
that's controversial.
Just for that one day. No one's allowed to sleep in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's right. In a guest bedroom, nobody can sleep in the bed.
No, absolutely not.
Can we just talk about lighting for a minute as well? Because I think from an interior designer's point of view, again, lighting is an important part of the styling process.
Do you know what? That it's so important, and I think that will definitely, it creates a mood and a really nice ambience for a space. So one of my biggest bugbears is when you go into a house and they've got different coloured lights in different rooms.
So you've got your warm light and then you've got your LED.
Warm light.
Oh, so they're like white. Sometimes they're yellowy and sometimes they're a bit whiter.
Yeah, you can have like a really cold, bluey coloured white light, which is like cool white.
Okay.
Then you could have like a really yellow
warm light.
Yeah. So for me, I like a consistent warm white, but not too much of a warm white.
Not too yellowy.
That's it.
How about wine?
Yeah. So I think, and it's having that consistent flow. Sometimes you can walk into a room and it can jar you a little bit if there's different lighting. So it's kind of getting the correct lighting levels for different rooms. It doesn't mean you have to have all new light switches with dimmers put on.
Okay.
It's just thinking about, so what room by room as you walk through, how does it feel? So it might just be a case of buying some new light bulbs and some LEDs.
That's simple. And it makes such a big difference.
That's it. And sometimes, again, you can go on the other side where we'll go into a house and it's there's a million lamps in a room, which is great. Because I think they've gone in and they've thought, oh, look, I like that lamp. Let's get some lamps in here. Let's dress it all up. But actually, it's clutter again. So sometimes it's actually, we need to get some of those lamps out. Let's calm it down a little bit.
Okay. So they take the advice, but maybe take it in the wrong.
Yeah.
So Charlotte, how do people find you? Where are you? Are you on Instagram?
So we're based. Our studio is in Four Oaks, so just down the road from Aston Knowles. And
you've got a new office on.
We have, road. So the office, it's really lovely. It's very it's very homely inside. It's really nice. So we've got an Instagram, which is at Charlotte Conway Design, and then our website, charlotteconwaydesign.co.uk. And there's different things on there that even if you're selling your home, you can look at different projects on there and just see what we're doing, and it helps. It's kind of
some nice inspiration there for us.
You've got a team behind you, so it might not be you that goes out. Might it be?
That's it. So generally, there's 5 of us in the team, but then whether it would be myself or Kirsty, she'll pop out, or it might be that one of us does one part of the project and then the other one steps in. Okay. So there's
different parts of the process. You've got different people.
Brilliant. Well, that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed that.
Thanks, Charlotte.
That's good.
Thank you. Until next time.
Yeah.